Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today. So, this is Umar Sharif, and welcome to the Scrum Master Demo Training session. So, today we will not deep dive into all the elements of Scrum, right? But what we'll do is we'll touch base on all the topics. Those are going to be covered in the next week's Scrum Master 3-day training. So, this is a glimpse of what you will go through in the 3 days of training. But let me tell you, this one is a video that I'm recording for you, so this will not be interactive, right? But during the session, we will make sure that we are having interactive and practical sessions. It will be nowhere we are one person talking and others listening. This will be more of interactive sessions wherein everybody, all of us will do practical learning experience. That is my purpose. All right. So without further ado, let's move on to the demo. Before I start, one last thing. Let me quickly introduce myself to you so that you know who you are listening to. So my name is Omair Ahmad Sharif. I have 20 plus years of experience into IT, 2 plus years into Scrum and Agile. So I've been a developer, I've been a business analyst, I've been a product owner, I've been an agile coach, and I've been a Scrum Master majority. Okay. So I am very fortunate, I would say, to be able to be in all those places, right? Being a developer, being a business analyst, being a product owner, it helps to understand the pain points of the other person because I've already been in your chair. So yeah, that's a bit about me. So let's move on with the demo. So first things first, the session objectives. Yes, we will understand basic Scrum fundamentals, right? We'll see where Scrum has come. Very briefly, what Agile is, what Scrum is, what does it mean to be a Scrum Master, why are we so important, right? We'll a bit on that. And then I will talk about the experience on the simulation that we will go through in the training session. I'll make sure that we at least have two sprints covered, as in practical learning sessions. All right? And then have a bonus tip for all viewers watching this video. Even though if you are not enrolling for the session next week, there is a bonus tip for you for watching this video. So stay tuned and let's get on. So what is agility? When you hear the word agile, what comes into your mind? That one word. I give you quick 5 seconds. Think agile, agility. What does that comes to you? Okay. Now, if the word that came to your mind is one of those that you see on your screen, agile is being adaptive, is being flexible, is being quick, is being collaborative, being responsive, being efficient, yes, you are there. Okay, that is what agile is. And Scrum is an agile methodology, is derived from agile. Okay. So that is what Scrum is. It's derived from Agile. It's a way of delivering software. It's how you deliver. It's the steps that you follow. It's a framework that you follow in delivering the software. So that's Scrum. Now, Scrum roles and accountabilities. Again, this is very brief. Okay, when we come into the training, we'll have very detailed discussions on Scrum, where it started from, and what does rugby have to do with Scrum, right? So all of that will come in the training. With the interest of time, I'm going to skip all of that for now and move on to the next slide, where we speak about Scrum rules. Okay, in Scrum there are three major roles. There are just three roles: a product owner, a scrum master, and the development team. Okay, so there is no team leader, there is no team manager, there is no technical lead. Okay, there is no lead developer. Mhm. We just have three names: product owner, scrum master, and the development team. Now, what are these each roles we will deep dive in the training session. Okay, being the scrum master is very important for me to know what a product owner does. What is in scope for product owner? What is out of scope for product owner? In scope for a Scrum Master, out of scope for a Scrum Master, in scope for the development team, and out of scope for the development team. So we will have thorough knowledge of all these roles. So that's what I want. Okay. But for now, We just touch base and then move ahead to the next slide. So product owner is someone who maximizes product value and manages product backlog in a nutshell, right? Creates and orders product backlog items. So that will be the product owner for today. Now, both and why we will discuss later. So Scrum Master is someone who establishes Scrum as defined in the Scrum guide. Okay. Facilitates Scrum events and removes impediments. That is in a nutshell for today. Will move on to development. So the development team is the team that actually works, right? That does the development, right? That's the development team that you have. Now, being a Scrum Master, I believe I am responsible for the entire Scrum team. It's not a single player game. I will have to think of the entire team as a whole because I will have to make sure that I'm making my team self-managing. Is that the word you see there, right? And turning the team into self-organized team. So it's my responsibility as a Scrum Master to make sure that not just me, but the entire team is growing, continuous learning, continuous improvement, and all of these aspects. And how you build this continuous learning and continuous improvement habits to your team, we will discuss in the training session. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. Scrum events. So what events does a Scrum have? So it starts off with your sprint planning, wherein you plan your next 2 weeks, what work will your team be doing and be involved in the next 2 weeks is decided in your sprint planning. And then your daily event starts, your daily stand, the daily stand-up for 15 minutes time box event, wherein you check the progress to make sure that the sprint goal that was decided during the sprint planning is being met and we are progressing well towards the sprint goals. And if there are any impediments for the Scrum Master to take care of, okay? And then once the 2 weeks are completed, we move on to the sprint review, wherein we show what we have worked to the stakeholders, right? We gather their feedback and eventually land into the sprint retrospective. That's an event which is very, very important. Never ever skip any of the events for sure. But retrospective is my favorite. So we will go more in detail during the session, but for now, I think we'll skip on to the next one. Okay. So here are Scrum artifacts and the commitments. So when I say product backlog, so for example, if we are working to develop Amazon.com, so all the requirements from the top, starting from creating a new user password reset, adding items to my cart, making the payment, the entire payment with stuff, and then various currencies, right, across the globe, the tax impact that it can have, or any discount voucher code. So everything is there in my product backlog. It's basically the A to Z of the entire requirement is in my product backlog. Now what happens? When I get into the sprint planning, so sprint planning is totally. So during the sprint planning, what I do is I pick say 5 items or 6 items from the product backlog, which are critical or higher importance, right? And then I put it into the sprint to be worked in the next week. So this becomes my sprint backlog. Once my team starts working on this and then 2 weeks we complete the task and that creates our improvement that will be shown to the stakeholders during the sprint review. Okay, so that's in a nutshell again. Do not worry if there are any questions or doubts or anything more clarity on. So I'll be there 3 days for this evening. So we'll answer all the questions. So in a nutshell, that is all. So moving on to the sprint simulation. So this is what we will do. So we will take a project, okay, and say if, for an example, I've taken your mobile app paper proposal. Okay. So we will take similar and make sure that we at least have 2 projects in hand so that we can also at least complete 2 sprints. Okay. So that we get to know what challenges can come, right? How does the planning happen, the daily scrum, the sprint review, retrospective. So we'll at least have 2 sprints for sure. That's my plan. Okay. So yeah. Moving on to the next slide. So here is the bonus that I was talking about. So even if you don't have time next week for the training, again, what I'm going to do is because you are watching this video, so I think it's my job to give you some tips. Yeah, okay. So this is the bonus tip for all the Scrum Masters, or for all the aspiring Scrum Masters. So make sure that you don't just be noting down, but you implement this, right? And make sure that this is there in your brain, and this is sort of cascaded into your teams. Okay, this is very important. This is what makes you different than a regular Scrum Master. There are a lot of Scrum Masters, right? So what makes you special? What is that one thing or those tokens that makes you stand out from the crowd, right? So these are the things that I do. These are the things that will make you stand out from other Scrum Masters. So micromanaging US servant leadership. So micromanaging is what we will not do, and servant leadership is what we will do. Okay? More of this will come in the training. This is just an overview. You can pause the video, take a note of these things. These are very important. So I will not read through what's already there on the screen. You can pause the video and go through it. Again, retrospective, this is one thing that you need to give most importance to. All these are important, but retrospective specifically make sure that you and all your team members do attend this set. It is very, very important. And then the mechanical Scrum, okay, that is to embrace Scrum to values, right? And the pillars of Scrum that we will go through during the process. Here is protect for effective Scrum Masters. First one, facilitate don't make sure you are facilitating the session. Don't be dictating it. Give that freedom to your developers, to your product owners, to think of it. Let them come with ideas. Okay? Encourage them to bring new ideas to the table. That is how everybody works. Give them that freedom. That is very important. Guide conversations without imposing solutions. Ask open-ended questions that encourage self-organization and self-explanatory. And how do we do this? We will go through in the training session on how to have this continuous learning, continuous improvement, right? Being open, having these open conversations, making sure that your team speaks out of any ideas that they have. How do we implement these skills into your team? We will go through in detail during this master training session. The second point here, foster psychological safety. So it's more or less on how you create the environment across your team. So create an environment where team members feel safe to speak, take risks, and engage in constructive disagreements. These are all part of your role as a Scrum Master. Finally, champion continuous improvement. There is a specific skill, okay, about continuous improvement. I mean, it's not easy because see, you have your work to do. You go to sprint planning, you take your next 2 weeks of work that you will be working on. You really have very less time for your self-improvement, for your trade, for your learnings, right? But it is very important that you do not miss out on this. Continuous learning and continuous improvement is mandatory, I would say. Every team, be it a Scrum Master, a product owner, an agile coach, whatever your designation is, continuous learning and continuous improvement need to go hand in hand. Very important. And how do you bring this? How do you instill this culture to your teams? That will be all done through the session. And finally, uh, what we'll do is I am open. Okay. So whenever you have a question, now I know this is a video, but during the training, I'll make sure that I keep these few rules out there before the training starts. That whenever you have a question in your mind, please raise your hand up. We will address it then and there. We have interactive sessions. We'll make it more of a role play so that we be involved and we learn as we go, right? So those 3 days of the trainings will be complete end-to-end transformation, end-to-end learning experience, which will help you to in your new roles, right? Either you are a business analyst or a developer or a product owner or an aspiring Scrum Master, right? This will be for you. Everyone will have something out of the course, but one thing is for sure that you will learn what Scrum is. You will learn how to be an effective Scrum Master and how to instill the culture of Scrum and Agile into your teams. Yeah, so that is all from my side for the day, and I'm looking forward to the training session and hope to see you all there. And have a good rest of the day. Take care of yourself.